council meeting in order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Get started with the approval of tonight's agenda. So moved. Motion by Mary and second by Doug. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll move to approve our consent calendar, which is the minutes of our previous meeting and our payment of bills.
So moved.
Motion by Roy and second by Doug. Any discussion? Okay, not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 4 is to call to order a public hearing regarding our 2022 through 2026 capital improvement plan. So we'll call it a meeting. Public hearing to order.
Don't appear to have any public here, but
Mark's here.
he's here on official business.
Otherwise he wouldn't be here.
So, I don't know, public, do you have any comments on the CIP?
Are there any changes since the last time?
Only one, and that is in 2024, where the hospital south sub bypass is now correctly identified as being a light rather than a sewer. I had the wrong color and had it labeled sewer rather than the light shop. But other than that, it's the same at this point. 2022 stuff is obviously pretty solid. You get out towards 2026 and it's a bit of a guessing game with the exception of some of our what I would call routine year-to-year type of capital outlay type projects. As I mentioned to you, I think when we were talking about this, what was it, a month ago now? A couple of projects on the horizon that we don't have any idea about the cost or what year it would fall into at this point, but Todd County is going to be doing a 4th Street project. We've got some infrastructure in the right of way in 4th Street that needs some attention. So rather than them overlaying it and then we're stuck for 20 years, we want to take a look at what we need to do on 4th Street. And if we do utilities, they would do a total reconstruct on the road. So that would be all new curb and gutter, all new pavement. A cost share, don't know what at this point on storm sewer, because obviously and this goes back a lot of years for those of you that have been on the council or around, I think back to probably 2002, somewhere in that vicinity, we had a preliminary engineering study on what was titled the Northwest Area Improvement Project, which kind of went all the way over kind of in that Leiden-Frost neighborhood east to 4th Street, that drainage area. But most of the stormwater issues that were really driving that have been resolved by the Highway 10 project, the 2nd Avenue Turnback project, and then also the overpass with realignment and cleaning out of the judicial ditch over there. So we don't have the volume of water in that area that we once did that had to try and flow over there. But that does nothing to address the condition of the pipes or the water mains and service lines on 4th Street. So
would that project include new sidewalks then too, along 4th Street?
It will, it definitely would. And I was going to mention later, safe routes to school plan amendment, pending amendment and some discussions that we've been having with the school district.
That'd be great.
Kind of as part of their, I don't know, phase one, plan B, parking lot, sidewalk. There's some connections that we've talked about for a long time with the school district, trying to tie some connections from Legacy Trail, coming in from the west to the elementary school, also the high school, getting a continuous sidewalk all the way on 4th Street. Right now, there's kind of a charred, overgrown path from Warner down to the elementary school. Then there's nothing on the west side of the road until you get to the high rise. But trying to get some of that, also east-west connection, the majority of the east-west roads up in that area don't have sidewalk at all. So looking at probably Michigan Avenue over to 8th, and maybe beyond, with some kind of sidewalk connection. So we've been having some preliminary discussions with Shane and Leroy at the school, with Lauren Fellbaum, because Todd County would have to be our sponsor, state aid sponsor for the Safe Routes to School project. But the exact timing of Safe Routes to School implementation and 4th Street reconstruction may not align perfectly, but if the 4th Street project happened a year or two later, there will be sidewalk all the way on 4th. We've figured that out already, so. So we've had Scott's had some initial discussions with Bolton and Mink on some of the engineering side of it, and then also for the Safe Routes to School, we need to engage them as well to do kind of preliminary engineering. We've got the lines drawn on the map. They need to figure out what has to be done to build it. So then we'll put in an implementation grant application this fall over the winter. But that again is ultimately a Todd County project. So they're the fiscal host and contracting agency on all of that. It's always been a little bit of a mystery over the last 10 years where's the school going to be, what's all of that going to look like. So I think we now know the answers to that, so try and figure out how to get the kids to school. The other component that we are going to try to include in that Safe Routes grant is a sidewalk and trail connection on 3rd Avenue over by Colson's.
Where B. Olson was?
No, 3rd Avenue, so Mike and Rosie Blessing, Colson's, and then, we've got the beautiful trail up on Airport Road. We've got a future trailhead just north of Staples Auto, but there's no connection from there to the actual trail. So, and it's kind of, obviously it goes up on a rise, pretty steep banks, but one of the concepts that we've talked about is a sidewalk on the north side of 3rd Avenue to just on the west line of where Colson's are, and then have it go down into the kind of that hollow flat area by the north sub and connect over there. But there's a lot of pedestrian traffic that comes over the overpass, and kids walking to the high school. And there's nowhere other than on the shoulder of the road for them to walk once they get over. So.
Yep.
But other than that, I was going to talk about that later, and I might as well kill the next one too, so my report will be shorter. The very first item in 2022 on our CIP is SCBA's for the fire department. And I am very happy to report that the FEMA grant that the fire department has applied for a few years for SCBA's was funded.
Nice.
So we will have a grant, I think it's $129,666.67.
Great.
So we've got to throw in I think it was like $6,000 or $7,000 of what we've been putting away for SCBA's, but then the firefighters will get all new SCBA's here this winter.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Great.
Yeah, that's good news. They were starting to get pretty old, so.
So does that move another project up into this?
Well, this will still stay in 2022. When we start talking budget here, I think we've got, I believe, about $60,000 that we've been putting away money for SCBA's. We aren't going to need all of that, so then it'll, we'll have to look at is it radio replacement, turnout gear, some of the other stuff that we've been saving for. We might be able to do sooner.
I have a couple questions under the street for 2022. The replace skid steer loader, it says project cost 70. And then the comments, it says trade in 20, total cost 65. So is the 70 the net cost after the 20,000 trade in? So it was actually 90? Or is it?
I believe that 65 didn't get updated. I think 70 was the total cost, wasn't that right, Scott?
That was the original number
So it'll be 50 with the trade in then?
yeah.
Okay, so the project cost will end up being 50.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, mower replacement was 12, and then it said 6,000 net with trade, so that would be the same thing, it would actually be a $6,000 cost. Okay.
Yeah, it would show up, basically on the bookkeeping side of it, you've got the $12,000 expenditure, but then on the revenue side, you're gonna have 6,000 coming in, so yeah, the net of 6.
Okay.
Unless we have another COVID year, then the trade-in is, or the outright sale is even better. What did we get for that, John?
$8,500 is what we sold and it was John Deere.
Wow. So you use it hard for 3 years and.
Costs us $500 a year, essentially.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody has any
Anyone
other
else have
questions.
any other questions or comments? I guess if there isn't, and there was no comments, we didn't receive anything. Okay, so we'll close the public hearing. And that will move us to item number 5. And that's to consider adopting the 2022 to 2026 capital improvement plan.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mary and second by John. Discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, we'll move on then to item number 6, and that's to consider setting special meeting date for 2022 preliminary budget review.
This might be the longest agenda item of the night, you never know. I can't remember last year if we did it ahead of a council meeting or if we did it over lunch. I think the last couple of years we've done different things, but if we want to pick a lunch, day to, do a 11:30 to 1:30 type of meeting with, Subway or something like that. Probably in that first week of September, preliminary budget, we would look at adopting that on the 28th of September at the second council meeting. But that, that would give us time, so if we want to have any additional discussion at the first meeting in September, we could do that following the workshop and then move into preliminary on the 28th. I don't know what, September 7th, which is a Tuesday.
Tuesday.
That's Labor Day.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, no, I'm
No,
the wrong
that's
the
day.
day.
Sorry, I was laughing.
Day after
Sorry,
Labor
yeah,
Day.
yeah. I was looking to see if I could
I
find.
think that's the
time
day
to have
after.
that.
Maybe we should go to the 8th, just in case somebody is gonna be gone on the day after.
Wednesday, the 8th.
Wednesday,
Yeah.
the 8th.
Okay, what time? 11:30?
I don't know if that works. Ron, does that work for you?
Yeah.
Doing 11:30 to 1:30? September 8th?
I'm gonna meet here.
Yeah.
Suppose you want a motion?
Sure.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Roy, second by Mary to have a special meeting to review our preliminary budget on September 8th at 11:30 here at City Hall. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. You gonna send an invite or should I plug it in?
Tara will send an invite.
Carol will send an invite?
That was pretty easy.
It was.
Really gonna be a fast meeting.
All right, then we'll move to item number 7, which is committee reports. We have Public Works.
Okay. First item is that we had discovered an error in our utility billing that we were charging sales tax to apartment buildings for their water use. We have corrected that. We'll pass through a refund to the customers. We'll have to wait until January because you're only allowed to do this twice in the year, and we've done that already. So, you have Darcy's letter in the packet and then the spreadsheet that shows the refunds. Darcy's letter does a good job of explaining. It's been, we discovered the error kind of by a fluke, but like I said, we've corrected it. And we'll go that way in the future. Anybody have any questions on that?
So have we sent anything out to these entities that it will be coming, or
We will be,
in January?
well, we'll be doing it sooner than that, but wanted to let the council know first. Next item, I'll just go in order. We put out the bids for Minnesota Avenue water projects, about 4 blocks of water main replacement. J&J Excavating had the lowest bid by about $1,700. So we'll be looking for the council to accept the bid. It was recommended by the building commission that the council do so.
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Roy, second by Mary. To approve the bids from J&J. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, we're, Minnesota, by notice of DNR, has entered drought warning phase. The consequences of that is that there's no mandates as of yet, but the public water suppliers, which is, like the city of Staples, has asked that we reduce our water usage. The intended goal, or the goal of the reduction would be like 50% above what you use in January. Right now, we're at 65% above what we use in January. We put an ad in the paper, we're gonna notify on Facebook, and then we'll send some messages out to, like I send a message out to the military part, or the veterans part. We'll send out individual notifications to our customers that have sprinkling meters and so on. So, and then we'll monitor on a daily basis, or we'll kind of monitor maybe probably weekly in the water plant. But I haven't heard of any specific mandates coming from the state, so we'll just do our best to get down to 50% above January.
The way the storms are running, we might be the only place that has a watering ban at some point here.
Yeah.
Next item, our seasonal employees requested that we review their wage. They started this year at $12.30 an hour. And they requested that they go up to $14 an hour, retroactive to July 19th. That's when they made their request a little bit prior to that because of how government works. It takes a little slower, but the reason being that $12.30 is no longer competitive. They could go just about anywhere and get that. This year on most years we hire 4 seasonal employees. We had Carter and Larry are the 2 that returned, and I had 0 applications. They've been doing it by themselves all year. They do a good job. My hope is that the council will approve the increase, and also that is also a recommendation from the commission too. But what I'd like to see is that we approve to $14 an hour this year. My hope is that we'll review it again for next year and possibly go up again. I would like to see those 2 come back. I hope that we will get 2 more people to apply the following year. And I mean, as Carter and Larry are both getting older, they do a good job. They know what they're doing. They maintain the equipment. They treat it respectfully. They fix things when it breaks. It would be nice to have a couple of guys like that pass on some of that knowledge. So my hope is that this gesture will get them to come back next year.
And they couldn't have done everything if we'd had a normal year.
Oh my gosh, no, we would have been,
Had to mow and.
Yeah.
more than-
it's still, yeah, even in a year like this, you know, the weeds still grow, ball fields still need attention. So they're still busy all the time, but, yeah, as I said, the Public Works Commission has recommended that the council approve the wage increase, so asking for action on that.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
A motion by Roy, and was it Ron? Second by Ron. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, I think we've talked before about Magna Construction's request for a substantial completion date extension. It's supposed to be July 31st. They made an initial request. It was there was not a lot of information to back it up. We decided that we declined it, or we were going to decline it. They were given a letter, I believe it's in your, all that stuff should be in your packet. They were given a letter by Bolton and Mink that stated that we declined it. Also stated that we'd like to have more information. Their response was that they believe that COVID caused circumstances that are beyond their control, and they should not be held to the original completion date. They also then said that they don't think they can follow along with the 60-day extension, and their request is for an extension date that is unknown. Gerald and I met with the engineers yesterday, and their recommendation was that the next thing we do is contact our attorney and see what options we might have. There's not been a big problem yet, but the date unknown obviously gives us a lot of concerns. One of them being that we are operating with an old plant that, you know, still could have costly breakdowns, and we want to make sure that we are not accountable for any of the costs with that. So, I sent the letter out, or a email off yesterday to our attorney, that's where we're at now. We're not trying to get into a big legal battle, but we do wanna make sure that we protect the city, so. When I get more information, I'm sure I'll have more information for you at the next meeting. But as of now, like I said, I just sent the email yesterday.
Does that trigger a fine process?
The original one said that we could recoup up to $1,100 a day. And that's, in their letter, they vehemently oppose it.
Maybe mix up with the gun there.
One interesting thing is that we spoke with the engineers and we asked them what they're seeing on some of their other projects. And they have one project that would be similar in nature that had an extension request, which was the contractor thought he would only need 5 days, but requested 30 just in case.
But we can't leave it open-ended.
What's that?
We can't leave it open-ended.
No.
And that's, that's the biggest thing. In our discussions with the engineer, there are some components of material delays, things like that, I think are a legitimate claim on their part. There's some other stuff that maybe perhaps is less so, but we want to, with the engineers and with our attorney, really look at what Magny is indicating in their letter. Are they interpreting that right? Does that meet that, that definition? And then we'll bring it all back, to the council and have a discussion on it.
Wasn't there a lot of absence on Friday? I didn't think they worked very many Fridays.
No, they work a 410 is what their
On
standard,
Friday?
no, 410s, yeah.
Yeah. When you get behind and stuff.
Their claim is gonna be all material, back orders and things like that. I think they did mention labor shortage, but, a labor shortage is not our problem, if you ask me. I mean, if you have a labor shortage, like Doug said, well, then you start working Friday. You make up for it somewhere.
I think I remember that bid was, that project ended up being a $20 million instead of a $10 million one. The estimate was when the,
16.
I thought the engineer's estimate was like around 10.
No, yeah, at one point.
Yeah, a few years ago.
Yeah. But, yeah, it was, basically, with engineering and stuff included, I believe it was around 16.
So does that change what we pay Bolton Inc. then?
Well, Bolton and Mink has a not to exceed number, as part of the construction engineering side of it. But like I say, 2 weeks ago, we met with Kevin, from Magny and, things like finishing the road, the driving surfaces between the building. Well, we can't because the pipes that need to get buried under that aren't here, they're back ordered. They don't know when they're gonna get them. And you can look through the information that they provided and, but we'll see what, what Joe has to say and then kind of powwow with Bolton and Mink again and, come to the council with a recommendation on how we want to proceed, so. Informational at this point.
Anything else, Scott?
Just a couple small things, we've been talking about the Region 5 project, we purchased some LED bulbs that we're going to, put in throughout, could see a savings of about $3,500 a no cost to us other than our time spent doing the, working with, on the project and then installing some of the bulbs, so it turned out to be a good project for us. And then we ended up getting our first distributed energy customer. We have a rooftop solar mount customer in town on the south side. So nothing important about it, but just FYI, and that's all I have.
Did you make it down to the dam in Iowa?
We did.
How was that?
Yeah, it was cool. It was interesting. Yeah, but the river was too low, so it wasn't running.
Oh, really? Oh.
A little disappointing, but
The turbines have a 1/16 of an inch clearance,
Wow.
and they're huge, just massive. So we were disappointed we couldn't see it.
Does Missouri River still have some of the videos and pictures of the construction on their website?
I don't know, they had it showed it at our meeting.
Yeah, I wonder if they have it on there. We should look at that, because it's the construction process, that stuff is all so massive.
Yeah.
You know, I remember videos of multiple semis hauling the pre-made, rebar cages that were going down into these, into the footings, and I mean, it made the windmill blades coming through town look small, lengthwise, and
Yeah, it's massive.
yeah,
And there's no elevator in the place, it's all stairs.
Yeah.
Which I was surprised on that electrical.
Yeah.
And the other thing that surprised me is that it's all run out of Sioux Falls. They have 2 people at Pella, I suppose troubleshooters, and, that did the tour and thing, but everything is, that just fascinates me.
can you say cybersecurity?
Oh, yeah, I hope they got good security. When Gerald mentioned rebar, I mean, they showed the different sizes of rebar that they had in there, and there was like 3-inch rebar.
That's huge.
And the amount of cement
Yeah,
they used.
and then as Mary said, they dropped those turbines in, and they had basically no room. You know, it was
There's no shimmy or shape on those things, so.
pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was. Pella is a cute little town.
Yeah. They got a dang good bakery there.
Well, the pizza place we ate at was busy,
Yep.
but they're downtown, it looked vibrant. We didn't get there until after the stores were closed, but. So I didn't get to go to the quilt shop. I didn't wine either, but that was fun. I saw it as we went by.
Any other questions for her? All right. Okay, we'll move to the EDA. Melissa?
Great. Excuse me, all of a sudden I got a bunch of stuff in my throat since I started talking. We met July 27th. The board did approve a proposal to move an extension to the downtown redevelopment plan. U of M extension just comes with vast amount of knowledge and resources that they have to offer to us, and they give us a great deal at $4,000 to do the study, and that's including 2 of their educators' time in that. And so we plan to move forward with that. Come October 15th, we are already working with them for one of the other items on here, the CEC conference. And so Neil, the educator that covers our area, and I decided that it'd be best to wait till after the conference is over, and then we'll start our new project together. So you'll start seeing more information coming out on that. Currently, they starting September 15th, we'll be doing some data research, and then I'm also putting together a core team that will work on that between 8 to 10 people. And so if there's anybody extremely interested in participating on that core team, the movers, shakers, and doers of the downtown community, be interested to from one. And then again, October, I think it was October 13th is our anticipated start date for the first in-person. And with that, we'll be obviously bringing in the general public and having other feedback as well from the community. You guys are already familiar with the next agenda item, Valley New Development, as forwarded into for moving ahead and purchasing those lots from Medina County. I think some really great development can come from that. Grounds and musical, again, we talked about it here prior to bringing it up at, well, not prior to, but in addition to bringing it up at EDA, I shared an update with them on that. There are some new grant programs, which we didn't necessarily talk about at this meeting, but I'm letting you know, through some of the COVID relief dollars that could potentially go towards some demolition. So I'm doing a lot of research on what we can do without utilizing local taxpayer dollars, I should say. They're all taxpayer dollars, right? To take care of that. In addition, the EDA did recommend that the city council, in conjunction with the EDA, write a letter to Todd County as well as the state of Minnesota in regards to the unsafe conditions of the building. I'm not sure exactly how unsafe they are. I don't think the wall's falling down tomorrow, but I don't think that if it sits there for another 20 years or 10 years or 5 years, that is necessary. I think it's a safety hazard potentially, and so does the rest of the group. So putting together some details on that to send out, or bring to the board, bring to the council for approval, and then send out. You guys are aware of the Cardinal Science Phase 2, so I'll skip over that. We think the town is moving ahead this year. We did get 2 applications in. Both were approved for assistance, and this year the Rotary and the Lions will be the lead organizations, and they're always looking for additional volunteers that, as Rotary would really like in Climate Matters, to assist those 2 primary teams. So they're looking over the houses and working with their main crew on start dates, and then invitations to assist on that will be going on as well. So that's about Opera House. We're kind of chugging along with the same updates I've been giving for the last however many months, years. However, in addition to getting that application sent into the state for bonding, Representative Poston did put in a request directly to the governor's office, MMB, the Senate Capital Investment Committee, and the House Capital Investment Committee to put us on their list for a tour. The House Capital Investment Committee did express interest, although there's no commitment at this time, so we don't have any plans right now. But it's good to know that there's interest. Connecting Entrepreneurial Communities, I alluded to that earlier. That's being held September 9th and 10th. The participation is going to be, it seems, a little lower on the in-person, and I'm not sure. We're thinking that that's potentially a COVID-related situation. However, no matter how it goes, I mean, we're still getting participation, which is great. We have some local speakers with Mary Ives, Bex Burgers with Devin, and then also Central Lakes College is being actually a keynote speaker at that conference. And so we are also doing a passport challenge to get people into our local businesses and they'll win prizes. We're accepting donations for prizes for those passport participants. And then we're also holding a garden party and wine tasting afterwards to kind of keep people within the community, getting a tour of Central Lakes College campus, the Egg Center stuff from the farm, and then hopefully they'll maybe pop in for a lunch or something at one of our local businesses as well. So lots of work going into that, and trying to make it a really great place-based conference and really shine staples for the welcoming communities. We are moving forward with 2 projects. One is the Big Read project, and that is larger funding for that. However, we did allocate dollars and receive smaller grants that were able to move forward with only the children's portion of that as a partnership with the library. Katie Hepner is heading up that side of the project, so I'm not going to jump into too much detail of that, but that is moving forward. And then we are also have worked with Penn State on a customized training program for inclusive employer training, which would allow them to apply to receive the IV designation, inclusive workforce something. And so MSA has created a customized training. It's a gave 4 hours, 2 hours each, 4-hour total, inclusive workplace training for our local businesses. And we're looking at only charging the businesses around $100 per business to have up to 5 participants in that. So you're gonna start seeing invitations to your local organizations or in the paper and other places that we're trying to recruit approximately 5 local businesses to go through that training, to get that designation, to start putting Staples businesses and community on the map as a welcoming community. So more as that goes forward. Other than that, there's just some general updates. I did want to mention the Hackney building did drop in price again, down to $799,000, which is really a steal of a deal. I talked to the realtors and questioned kind of why isn't this flying? Why hasn't somebody, are you getting many looks at it? And a lot of it is that it's more expanding businesses out of Brainerd that they're seeing that are worried about losing their workforce that they have existing in Brainerd that wouldn't want to follow them to Staples. And so they're looking for a larger building, they want to stay closer to their existing workforce. And then, there have been others that are interested. I did send it out to a few sources and a few people that were interested in the past. I didn't move forward with projects just to let them know that's down in price again. Other than that, I think that's all the information, unless there's something on there that I didn't talk about that you would hear more on. Any other questions?
That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, I guess that'll move us to open forum. No one has anything? Go to Gerald City Administrator.
Okay, just a few items that I haven't already talked about, but labor negotiations are starting to move forward. Mary, the answer to your question is September 9th at 10 a.m. Looked it up, so Roy and Chris as well. We had just a preliminary meeting and exchanged some information, I believe it was last week, with LELS, and I'm sure AFSCME and IBEW will be scheduling dates here shortly as well. So we will work to get some agreements ironed out before the end of the year.
I'm out of town that day, can I zoom in?
What time? What time again, Joe?
10 o'clock. Yeah, we might be able to do that, Mary. Probably hold it, do it in here and do that. Chamber, we had a meeting again with Maddie from the Chamber of Commerce last week, just making sure that everything is being put in place for Railroad Days, which is coming up rapidly. So probably do another follow-up with her as early as next week. Kind of to the nuisance discussion that we had, I don't know, it was maybe a month ago. Chief Burkholz and I went down and met with our city attorney to look at, trying to address some of the problems of the cat and mouse game that we're dealing with at various properties, and I think we've got a couple of different approaches to use, including standing injunctions for multiple properties under the same owner. What has been happening is as the hearing date approaches, they move the stuff off the lot onto another lot owned by a family member. All of a sudden, it's not on that piece of property anymore. Joe's going to look into it, going to talk to some folks, and that could be a very viable option. They get it, or if they get it cleaned up, but it comes right back, having some kind of a standing order on that, we can immediately, they'd be in contempt at that point. So, 15U baseball tournament coming to town Friday and Saturday and possibly Sunday if there's a rain day in. So I think that'll probably be at the high school field and out at Pine Grove. So should be a bunch of visitors in town. So if you get a chance to go out and watch baseball, go for it. Chris?
We're 4.5 hours out there today, so I got about another 4 hours left.
So with that, that is all I have. I am going to be out of the office till next Tuesday. So
Anybody guess where he's going?
They said Canada's open, so I imagine he's going to Canada.
and do I have a story for you?
Yeah, yes, you told me about it. I moved that we adjourn.
I second.
Okay, motion by Roy, second by Ron to adjourn. All in favor?